Countdown. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. Hope everyone had a good and safe 4th of July. Back to the grind. Looking at tonight's 7:05 start time slate, 12 games. Got a couple pitchers you can feel pretty safe about. Well, maybe more than or less than just a couple. You got one or two that you can feel pretty good about. Got a core slate as well. DraftKings priced a lot of guys really down. It's a little bit odd. Jacob deGrom and obviously Alex Wood are your more expensive options, but there's a ton of guys for like less than $6K. I don't know what happened, but you're also getting some mid-range guys that I was expecting to be a little bit more expensive that aren't. So something happened in the pricing algorithm or something, but it's a little bit of a weird slate to talk about. We'll jump in here. We'll talk about Jacob deGrom. Obviously, he's actually been really good against Washington this season. A couple, double-digit strikeout outings out of him. He had 12 back in April against them. Sorry, just one double-digit strikeout outing, but 6 last time I went 8 innings, allowed 0 earned runs. So, he's had their number this year. The problem for me is he just comes in more expensive than Alex Wood. And by a decent margin too, especially over on FanDuel. I'm leaning Wood there. I don't hate deGrom. This is a decent spot where I think he can still throw off that upside. Do I prefer him over Wood? No, I think Wood comes in as the easy number one option tonight. Jacob deGrom's just kind of that leverage pivot. You look at what deGrom's done this season. I mean, obviously he's been excellent. He leads the slate in swing strike rate, 14.3%, 29% strikeout rate this year. Been excellent at keeping the ball in the park. FIP, xFIP, all under 3. All under 4. A lot less. If this was a different matchup, I think we could easily rank him as one of the better guys on the slate. But he's just kind of more that leverage play off of Wood. Also, he's on the road. This game's basically a pick-em. This Washington offense has, been pedestrian, I guess you could say, over the last week or so. Over the last 30 days, Nationals still just outside the top 10 in WOBA. Obviously, the loss of Trey Turner hurts them quite a bit. You look at this lineup, it doesn't look particularly scary right now. Brian Goodwin, Michael Taylor, obviously you have Bryce Harper, Zimmerman, Daniel Murphy, Anthony Rendon before there that you need to worry about. But, Rendon a lot less scarier against lefties. Zimmerman starting to come back down to earth a little bit. Harper's been a little bit quiet. And then you have obviously Matt Wieters, Wilmer Defoe, and Tanner Walker, Stephen Drew, whatever shortstop you get in there. And, it's just – there are some strikeouts to be had right there. So I like them. But like I said, I just prefer Alex Wood more. We'll talk about Alex Wood here next. He's, all the way in Los Angeles. He's at home. Huge favorite as usual for these Dodgers pitchers, 199. Arizona has one of the lowest run totals on the slate, 3.1. This is a lineup, they got A.J. Pollock back. That's certainly going to help. You look at some of their more notable right-handed hitters. It's Chris Owings. It's Brendan Drury. It's, whatever catcher they toss in there, Jeff Mathis. It's Chris Iannetta. Outside of really Goldschmidt and Pollock, I'm not particularly scared of anyone else. And even on tonight's slate, you just look at what, Alex Wood's been doing. He's been phenomenal. 13.1% swinging strike rate, 30.2% strikeout rate, not walking guys, 6.9% walk rate, not allowing a ton of hard contact rate. And then you get to the good stuff here. This is what I really like about him. He's got that high strikeout rate, but he's also rolling a 65.5% ground ball rate, 19% fly ball rate. That's a good way to keep the ball in the yard, especially against a team that does have some power bats. So he's been phenomenal this season. I mean, Alex Wood's been tremendous. I think, he deserves everything for the price. You get a really nice price tag on him over on FanDuel, where you get a superb drop off from him and deGrom, but 9,400 is a nice bargain there on FanDuel. I like him. He's one of my guys I just will be plugging in quite a bit. So like him. And then we kind of get into some less safer options, but some guys that are in actually really good spots. So we'll talk about Trevor Bauer here first. This is a guy, decent swing and miss stuff. The strikeout rate's there, 25.7%. Walk rate's a little bit scary. Still allowing a ton of hard contact. He doesn't induce a lot of soft contact. Ground ball rate's not bad, 48%, but 1.44 horns per 9 this year. Still would like to see kind of those backup numbers for his ERA to start dropping a little bit, but ERA over 5, FIP and xFIP around 4, 3.90 Sierra, so maybe some positive regression is coming for him. You do look at Bauer. I mean, moderate contact percentage. It does get some swings outside the zone. You'd like to see it a little bit more, though. But what you're really after here is this Padres team against righties. 299 WOBA, 25.8% strikeout rates. This is a team that just doesn't have a ton of power. Soft contacts up. It's 23% against righties. ISO 166. So that's kind of what you're after. They have one of the lower run totals as well, so Vegas isn't expecting a ton out of them. Cleveland a home favorite, 248. Bauer, reasonable price on both sides that you can fire away with. SP2 wise, sure, it's risky, but I think there's a lot of risky options on this slate as well. So, I like the potential there for him to rack up some strikeouts and pick up a win as well. Garrett Cole next. This is a guy that is just boom or bust. I mean, we've seen a couple of really poor games out of him, but we've seen the good as well. Price down in an appropriate range where I can feel okay with him. The problem with Cole is lefties. That's really where he's been struggling this year and in the past. Also on the road in this ballpark, it's not particularly favorable for pitchers. It could be warmer, so at least the weather's not completely humid and hot. But look at Phillies, right around a 4-run total. Pittsburgh are -150 road favorites. You look what the Phillies have done this season. I mean, against righties have been awful. 298 WOBA, it's 29th in the league, 23.8% strikeout rates. This is a team that just doesn't walk a ton either. You look at the lefties, still it's Ty Kelly, it's Freddie Galvis, it's Nick Williams, Odubel Herrera. These are not strong left-handed names that are going to keep me away from Cole. So, I like him. I think he can go out there. He can limit damage. Why I think he has a complete clean outing? No, probably not, because it's just not the type of guy he is. But I just don't think there's going to be a real blow up there either. So I'm okay with Cole. Once again, I think he's cash game playable. I think him and Bauer, just matchup considered, and the fact that there's not a lot of other great options on this slate, I'm okay with them as SP2s or guys to go with. FanDuel, the lone cash option for me is just Alex Wood in this one. That's the route I'll be going. So, but GPPs, you can make the pivots to Cole and Bauer, who are a little bit cheaper. After that, there's a lot of guys that just kind of stay away from. I mean, Irvin Santana's once again on the slate. This is just a guy I just never really play. He's completely on or off. Every now and then we get those big games where he goes for 8-9 innings and has 6 or 7 strikeouts, but he's just not that type of pitcher. The strikeout rate doesn't really match him. Swinging strike rate's pretty average. You look at this Angels team against righties. I mean, they just don't strike out a lot. Their WOBA, ISO all are awful, but 20.1% strikeout rate over the last 30 days. Angels have been pretty much bad as well. But once again, they're just not striking out a ton. So I just won't look at Santana. I mean, if he was a little bit cheaper, maybe you can consider him, but I'll pass against some of these weaker arms. So outside of that, it's not particularly thrilling. Zach Godley has been great this year. I don't know if I'm quite going to be using him in this spot. I like everything he's bringing to the table. I wish, once again, he was a little bit cheaper, because you look at Godley, I mean, 13.9% swinging strike rate, 23.9% strikeout rate, 59% ground ball rate. I mean, those are all numbers that you really like to see. And against lefties, he's even been doing pretty well. So I think it's just one of those ones where, I don't see him really picking up a win. He could be a leveraged GPP play on this slate for building multiple lineups, just because, the Dodgers do have a decent strikeout rate against righties. It's 23%. So, but they do rank 6th in the league in WOBA. They do have an incredibly high hard contact rate, and just a lineup that's 1 through 9, really tough to get through. So, Godley, I like his stuff. I just don't know if I'll be using him tonight, but GPPs, if you're building multiple lineups, I don't hate the idea. Outside of that, it's just a lot of bums on this slate. You got Perdomo in a tough matchup. The fact that he struggles against lefties, I like him a lot, but the fact that he just struggles against lefties and throws that slider 30% of the time, and the fact that Cleveland's actually top 10 against sliders this year, it's just a tough offense to get through. Daniel Norris, Giants have been bad lately. They've been starting to come alive a little bit more. this isn't a good lineup, but I don't know, Daniel Norris is still going to have a lot of hard contact. You also look at this Giants team; they just don't strike out against lefties, 19.1%. So I don't know how much of the upside's really there. Tanner Rourke's been awful. I won't be going there. Doug Fister, Andrew Kashner, Jaime Garcia, Joe Musgrove. I mean, there's just some bad arms on this slate. If I'm starting to look really cheap, God, and this one's tough to do because Royals offense actually hasn't been bad. You look over the last 30 days, Royals 9th in WOBA, 212 ISO. Not bad at all. 20.3% strikeout rates. Hard contact rate is taking a jump against lefties this year. This is still a team that is not good against them. 305 WOBA. Strikeout rate isn't all that high. Miranda's been a guy who's better off at home. As an SP2, I could see playing him here, given the fact that he's 5,900. I won't touch him on any other site because his FanDuel price is outrageous. But you look at him, I mean, his down starts have come against, Minnesota, decent team with a lot of righties. Houston, he limited damage, but he went into the eighth inning, didn't strike a lot of guys, tough team. Detroit, the guys he's done well against: Tampa Bay, Chicago, Toronto, Los Angeles twice. Did do well against Cleveland. So, I do think there is some upside here. He pitches deep into games. That's what I like to see. Given the fact that he's 5,900, he's a small home favorite. He's going to face some Royals bats who there are some lefty guys or right-handed guys that do hit lefties at a decent rate. But, Kane hasn't really been hitting lefties all that well this year. With Merrifield, Jorge Bonifacio. Bonifacio's got some power. Salvador Perez has got some power. But look at these back half guys. I mean, you're going to take Hosmer and Moustakas, the lefties in this one. Alex Gordon. Alcides Escobar, I'm not completely worried about. Soler is good for, a K or two. So I don't mind Miranda here. He's probably the guy that I don't mind who's under 6K on DraftKings. Everyone else, I mean, Scott Feldman's the guy who just won't play in cores. Edson Volquez, Mike Liga, just no thanks. So it's just a lot of stay away spots for most of these guys. So I think narrowing it down, you can just easily look at Jacob deGrom, as that leverage, but Alex Wood comes in as the number one option on the slate. Then I'd have to go Trevor Bauer, Garrett Cole, and then Miranda's kind of that really cheap guy. So outside of that, I mean, it should be a high-scoring night. I don't think pitching is all that bad where you're going to limit it's going to limit bats that you can put in even with cores. So extremely warm night in cores. Temperatures up in the 90s. So that's going to be one of those games where it's going to be interesting because I could actually see those pitchers maybe limiting damage as well. So, but that's a story for a different pod. But that's going to wrap things up here. You can head on over to dailyfantasycafe.com, check out our great tools and content.